Hi all, welcome to the Cloud Learners channel once again. So in this tutorial we are going to talk about some networking fundamentals like IP addresses and what is subnet, which we are going to cover in part 1 and part 2. In part 1 we are going to cover the IP addresses things, what is network ID, what is subnet ID, what are the type of classes of IP addresses, and in second part we will talk about the most important thing, that is the subnet. Why we are discussing it? So we know we need to create VPC, virtual private cloud, in Amazon Web Service, okay, or in any other cloud, right? So what do we have there? We need to create subnets. So one should know what actually a subnet is. That's why I'm going for these two tutorials as a part 1 and part 2. Okay, so let's proceed further. So if we will talk about the IP address, okay, I'm not going deep into it. I am just giving the most important points, what it is necessary to know. So IP address is a 32-bit binary number, okay, 32-bit binary number which consists of 4 octet groups. Means we have 4 octets. Each octet consists of 8 bits. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, it will gives us 32-bit number. Okay, and important thing, we have here few bits we assign to the network and few bits we assign to the host as per our requirement. Clear? So one more thing from my side here, that we are going to represent this network bit by 1 always and this host bit by 0 always. So move further towards the next slide. See, these are the decimal equivalents of 8-bit patterns. If I hope everybody know this thing. If not, then let's discuss about this thing too. See, as I told you that in the previous slide, right, each octet consists of 8 bits. So we should know what these 8 bits gives us, right? So in binary number system or decimal number system or any other number system, what we have the weights of all these bits, okay, like it will be 2 raised to the power 0, this set to be the least significant bit, LSB, and this bit is set to be the, means this one I am talking about, okay, most significant bit. So for least significant bit, weight is 2 raised to the power 0, and the most significant bit is, the weight will be 2 raised to the power whatever the last bit number comes to be. So starting from RHS, 2 raised to the power 1, 2 raised to the power 2, 2 raised to the power 3, 2 raised to the power 4, 2 raised to the power 5, 2 raised to the power 6, 2 raised to the power 7. So here 2 raised to the power 7 is there. So weight for the MSB is 128. Clear? So if let's suppose my IP address is like this, 192.168.12.2. so we should know that what 192 stands for. If I will see 192 gives us 11000000. If I will write this in this way, then I will get 192. How I am getting this thing? I am just adding these numbers, 128, 64. Let's suppose I need to go for the 12. Okay, so I will add 8 and 4. So for 12, what will be the binary bits here? Octet 000, because these all 4 will remain 0. This will be 1 and then 00. So this is our 12 representation in the binary. So in this way, the maximum number that we can get is 255. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you, that we will get the range from 0 to 255 in our IP address first of all. Okay, now let's proceed further. See, this is the thing that we just discussed. I hope all of you are clear with this thing. Now talking about the IPv4 address class, right? So we have 5 classes: class A, class B, class C, class D, and class E. Okay, so most important point to remember is the range of these classes. Means class A, if we will talk about class A, so class A ranges from 0 to 127. Okay, means we have 128 possible networks are there, but 0 and 127 are reserved. As you can see here, it is written 2 are reserved. Okay, so we can't use 0. So basically for class A, IP address starts from the 1.0.0.0 and ends at 126.255.255.255. Clear? So this is the IP range. Okay, so total host per network, how many it will be? Here 1677,214 means 16 million we can have host. How do we get this thing? We will discuss shortly. Now for class B, the range is 128 to 191. Okay, for class C, 192 to 223. So this is the important thing then one should know. So do remember these points. For class D and class E, if I will talk about, so in class D we will have the range start from 224 to 239. Okay, and this class is basically used for the multicast group. Okay, and class E is reserved for the experimental purpose, which starts from 240 to 255. So we generally don't use these classes, class D and class E. Okay, apart from it, see, class A is having the range from 10 to 127, let's say. So in class A, what we have, as we know, we have 4 octet groups, right? 1, 2, 3. So here what we have in class A, the first octet is reserved for the network and remaining 24 bits means 8 plus 8 plus 8 is reserved for the host. For class B, these 2 are reserved for the network and these 2 are reserved for the host. In class C, these 2 are reserved for the network and this is for host. I'm repeating once again, as I said earlier too, network bits are represented by 1 and host bits are represented by 0. Okay, let's move further. If you have any doubt regarding IP address, just do comment. Okay, so this is something important. We have class A, class B and class C. See, here what we have, 24 bits for the host, 16 bit for the host, 8 bit for the host. So how many hosts we can create through it? Okay, so we have 2 raised to the power 24. Now we have to subtract 2 IPs from it, because first IP of any network is reserved for as a network ID, and last IP for any network is reserved for the broadcast IP. So we have, whenever we are designing any network, we need to leave 2 IP addresses by default, as I'm talking generally right now, because if we will talk about the AWS, then we need to leave 5 IPs. Okay, do you remember this thing? We will talk about this too in VPC part. So we will have 2 raised to the 24 minus 2 here, right? For class B, we will have 2 raised to the 16 minus 2. For class C, we will have 2 raised to the 8 minus 2. So these are the IP addresses range that we will get, means maximum host that we can. So in class A, we have 16 millions. In class B, we have around 65,000. Okay, and in class C, we have 254 maximum host that we can create. So these are the IP addresses that you have seen the most in your organization. These are the private IP ranges that we don't need to purchase, because basically for the if we want to use any kind of public IP, then we need to purchase that, right? But these are the IP addresses that we don't need to purchase. We can use it privately. So most of the time we can see this one, 192.168 range IP address in our organizations. Okay, so I hope you are clear with this thing. So do remember the ranges to which belongs to the private IP address range. After that, now talking about some important things, that what is network ID. So first let me write the things once again, that network bits we will represent by 1 and host bits we will represent by using 0. So let's suppose if I am having 192 192.10.2.8. This is our IP address, right? And if someone asks you to tell what is the network ID for the same, so what will you do? First, you need to identify which IP address is this. Okay, so we know this is a class C IP address, right? Now, if it is a class C IP address, what does it mean? In class C, we know starting 3 means 24 bits are reserved for the network and last one is for the host, means these are our network bits and this is our host. So as I told you previously, the first IP is reserved for the network. So if you will write down this as 192.10.2.0, so this will be our what? Network ID. Clear? This will be our network ID. Now, if someone will ask you what is the subnet mask of this thing, what is the subnet mask? Okay, so how do you calculate it? See, once again, identify the network IP means class. We have class C. So what you need to do, just make all the bits for the network thing as 1. Means we have 192.10.2. So just make it like this, 111. Okay, then 1 2 and lastly this is for the host, so just keep it as zeros. So what these all ones contribute to, this is 255.255.255.0. this will be your what? Subnet mask, right? This will be your what? Subnet mask. I'm repeating once again. If you need to calculate the network ID, then what you need to do, just identify the class of IP and make host bits 0. That will be your network ID. If you want to calculate the subnet mask, then what you need to do, just make whole network bits as 1 as we did, right? And just write it down as 255.255.255.0. okay. Now if I will ask what is broadcast ID, because 2 IPs are reserved, right? So as I told you, last IP is the broadcast IP, so make it as 255 because last IP range of this network will be 255. So this will be your what? Broadcast IP. Clear? So this is how you can identify what is network ID, what is subnet mask, what is broadcast IP. Okay, now I'm going to give one IP to all of you and I will expect that you will give me the answer. What will be the network IP, what will be the network ID, what will be the subnet mask, what will be the broadcast ID for the same. So your IP address is 155.25.10.20. so you need to find out what is network ID for the same, what is subnet mask, and last one is what is broadcast IP. So these are 3 things that you need to find out and just give your answer in the comment box. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and I hope you are cleared with what is actually the IP addresses, how to calculate network IDs, subnet mask and broadcast ID.